Welcome back, and thanks for being with us here on Morning Live as we continue our conversation with the Executive Mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Herman Mashaba, who has finally tabled his 59 billion rand budget. And also with us is Geoff Makhubo, who is an ANC Councillor in the city and former Johannesburg MMC for finance. Now let's talk finance because Mayor Mashaba, one of the things that you have been pushing back very hard against have been these reports about the liquidity, the financial liquidity position of the city of Johannesburg. And you basically have accused the ANC during the tenure of Parks Tau under that administration of exposing the city financially and maybe laying it open to state capture.
Well, it's really very unfortunate that you remember they started this with the motion of no confidence. That's why they went to court on an agency basis and saying that the city is going to be collapsing financially. Why I've always raised the infrastructure backlog that I inherited in the city of Johannesburg. I think Mr. Makhubo and their colleagues, Councillor Makhubo and the colleagues, actually have got a lot to answer in terms of why they let the city collapse. You know, our electricity infrastructure, most of our transformers built 70 years ago. Our road infrastructure, we need 10 billion rand, 12 billion rands to really get them up to speed. And what they do, they keep on questioning the immediate liquidity of the city of Johannesburg. The city of Johannesburg does not have an immediate cash liquidity. The city, what is sitting is infrastructure neglect. I don't know whether they forgot to understand that when you have a property, there's what we call repairs and maintenance. The figures are there. I can show them for the last 20 years. The maximum they spend on repairs and maintenance is 2%. And the National Treasury or any normal human being anywhere in the world, when you build, you run a municipality, you need between 8 and 10% every year to maintain the existing infrastructure before you build a new one. That is what we're sitting with. And what is actually quite disturbing for me, on Thursday, what came to my attention, when the Councillor Makhubo and his colleagues every day rushed to certain forces within the media that the city is about to collapse. In the meantime, he does not really tell us. And in fact, I really want him to tell the nation on this platform. 290 million rands comes to my attention Thursday night. I had to call Minister Pravin Gordhan to say, Minister, I've got a problem. Friday, 12 o'clock, if I don't get my money, I'm going to liquidate. And says, Minister, what happened? What happened 2012? The Councillor Makhubo and his leadership decided to give our sinking fund to a Gupta-linked company, with the full knowledge that Guptas were looting our country. Over and above that, they then give a loan to Dinel. And Dinel, at the time, the Gupta family were looting our money left, right, and center. And I discover on Thursday, the board of Dinel asking us to give them an extension. But now what I need to understand, why a fund manager can go out and lend public monies without getting the necessary security, and you're giving it to hyenas. And this decision was taken by Councillor Makhubo and his people. Let him tell this nation why, firstly, this money was invested with a Gupta-linked company. Secondly, why lend this money to Dinel, knowing very well that the Guptas were going to cripple Dinel? So we need the answers, not me. These are money of the people of the city of Johannesburg.
It's quite a pity. You know, you asked a question, the mayor answered three unrelated things. One is the infrastructure backlog of the city and what happened. Two is the liquidity position as we state. And three is around the sinking fund investment in instruments that are AAA graded and all that. So those are three different things, but the mayor is muddling them all up because I think it's the state of the city today. As for the liquidity, I state now here, I challenge them in council in an open meeting. Let them bring the people of Johannesburg into confidence, whether we've got cash today or don't we. I can safely say that the city of Johannesburg, if nothing happens, they pay ESCOM, they pay the 3 billion rands they owe to DBSA, that is due at the end of this month. we're going to be cash negative at the end of June. He can tell the people of Johannesburg, as per the liquidity, we've been saying it for a long time, that if nothing happens, if collections don't improve, if they're on belt tighten, if there's no austerity, the city is going one way. And that's been our message from August last year, and it's a consistent message, and we're saying it. As for the infrastructure, I mean, when we realized that we need to prepare a capital investment program for the next few years and looked at the backlog, the state of our roads, the state of the infrastructure, we knew that it's not only 170 billion, it's much more, because we've got backlog infrastructure, we've got upgrade of the old infrastructure, we've got economic infrastructure, and we've got social infrastructure that to deal with. The carrying capacity of the balance sheet was at 100 billion we can spend over 10 years. It's not enough, it's not nearly enough, but we went on an expansionary infrastructure rollout program, and we were not faced by that.
We are, basically, stretched for time here. Yeah. But with regard to the unsecured loan to Denel,
okay.
And the investment through Gupta-linked companies, what's your response to that?
Well, Regiment's Capital won the first tender in 2007, 2008 to run our sinking fund, long before these Gupta things that came up that the mayor is talking about. We gave them an investment mandate wherein, as the city, you don't participate in what the asset managers do. All we said, we've got liabilities to settle in X, well, you invest our money wherever we invest, but in instruments that are only investment graded, that AAA, BBB, A+, etc. Now, if they bought a note of Denel in 2012, and Moody's had rated Denel in 2012 as a AAA note in 2012, that was reported in our financial statements. In fact, if you go to the financial statements, you go to the audit of the sinking fund and see all the underlying instruments that were bought, and we can see that what the mayor is talking about, that we only discovered it now. It's quite a pity, because if you had read the financial statements, you would have seen what the sinking fund had
the reality of the matter is...
Because we're out of time, and I also want you to talk about the MMC for Health, whom you have suspended.
Yes, I think also it came to my attention on Monday afternoon that MMC of Finance made some statements that for me were insensitive. I think the Middle East matter, when you deal with it, you deal with it with sensitivity. On the basis of that, obviously, based on the small clip that I've seen, I was really convinced that this is not acceptable. And yesterday morning, I consulted with our Jewish council caucus members and the Muslim ones. I called them into a meeting to say, colleagues, I've got a challenge. This is what I suggest. And fortunately enough, I had their support that let's suspend the MMC. We're not obviously saying at the moment that we want to take the whole matter into context. But in the meantime, let's put it aside so that we investigate. Because MMC Palaz is one of my best MMCs. She delivers on a mandate. It will really be unfortunate for us to lose her. But at the end of the day, we're not going to really protect her, because the city of Johannesburg, because she spoke on behalf of the city of Johannesburg, the city of Johannesburg does not run international relations affairs. We run a municipality to supply you with water and electricity and other services.
Unfortunately, that's where we're going to have to leave it, because Leanne's standing by with the latest news at 8.